truth. None of my men wear protection when going. None.
After all, you wouldn't want your attacker to get injured.
That hurt my foot. Hey, and there we are. Welcome to Big D After Dark. It's Monday evening, and we're here to talk about FC Dallas soccer. Even after a kind of a disappointing second match of the season for FC Dallas, we got plenty to talk about, and grateful for those folks joining us. Those folks who'll continue to join us, and of course, this show is interactive, so we want you to use the chat feature on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, whatever, and send in your comments, your questions, your feedback, and we'll take them live. It'll adjust our flow of our conversation. And we've gotten the recordings going again for our podcast. So if you can't listen live, you can subscribe on Spotify and take advantage of that and catch up on our conversation. And we'll be sharing that info, making sure you can see it, and you can find that at bigdsoccer.com. All right, I'm kind of the host, the wrangler of this thing. You can follow me at Nathan J. Hill on Twitter. Got our buddy Ismael there, El Belcora Isma, also on Twitter there, and our buddy Jose Carmona at El Chico Carmona. And Hello. Finally, Tommy LaBeouf at Tom_FC Dallas. Right. We're here to talk. Let's get into it. Right into it. A loss on the road against the reigning Supporter Shield holder, New England Revolution. And, probably not the most unexpected thing. It's just tough to win on the road in this league. It's tough to get results. But FC Dallas hung around. Didn't quite ever break through. So it was an interesting game to watch. There was definitely a lot of energy on the field, a lot of ideas, a lot of creativity. So I guess let's just start there. What are the positives? I mean, at this point, FC Dallas has 1 point from its first two matches. Not the start that any team in this league wants, especially when you look at our hated rivals to the south, Austin, with 10 goals in two matches. Wish we could start a little bit like that.
I wish we could have played the teams they're playing.
Yeah. Well, we've already got a first comment. Well, our buddy Todd Chatterley. Well, obviously it's O'Brien's fault. So let's just get. I mean, what are the positives we can take? Ismael, we'll start with you, and then we'll go Jose, and then Tom.
Well, the main overarching positive is that we looked better for like half the time, or maybe a little bit more, than the reigning Supporter Shield champions. And I mean, we can analyze specific performances, which is a valid thing to do. But when Heel can only get, like Carlos Heel, the MLS MVP, can only get like 2 key passes in a game, that tells you something. That tells you that they not necessarily got lucky with their PK, but if small mistakes weren't made to build up to a moment like that, it probably would have gone a different way. I mean, performance-wise, I think the continuation of Pax and Hedges being their old selves is incredible. Hopefully this can keep going. We're not going to jinx it because, anything can happen, but they're looking like their old selves. Areola looks like he's going to be a good pickup. He still performs at a very decent level. And I think the main one is that Cerrillo looks like he's back to that incredible 2019 first half run where he could like surprised everybody and was one of the best homegrowns for that first half of the year. So, I mean, there have been some very good performances, and I think the team did okay despite the result.
Jose?
Yeah, I just want to expand on Cerrillo. I think Cerrillo, has shown himself to be one of those players that plays depending on his confidence level, and his confidence is up right now. We've seen him play better when he's feeling confident, and as long as he can carry that on, I think I like with Ismail on that. I like what I see. My takeaway is the defense looks solid. Yes, there were some hiccups, I think, in the last 20 minutes, probably due to lack of conditioning or some players not being fully fit yet. I know Martinez really was really. I'm surprised they didn't yank him. I mean, I thought he gave the ball up a couple of times, and just after looking solid for like 70 minutes, I just thought he struggled the last 20 minutes. Um, and other than that, though, I mean, I thought I was looking at the way the defense played. Honestly, they don't get that PK. It's a 0-0 draw on the road against the Shield, defending Shield winners. That would have been an excellent result. It went from an excellent result to a loss. So anyone panicking out there, I say, it's okay to worry. I wouldn't panic yet. I mean, it's just 2 games and 2 tough opponents at that, and we got 2 tough opponents ahead. But I like what I saw. I think it's a performance the team can build on. That's what I'm looking at. Is I thought they looked better overall than in the first week when we got the draw. So, and that's what you want to see. You want to see progression. You want to see improvement, and I thought we saw that.
Tommy, what about you? What are your takeaways?
I actually thought they played better this game than they did last game. They outshot the Revolution for sure. They had more possession. It was they played really well, I thought, but the thing is, like, I didn't leave that game, didn't turn off the TV happy because that PK by that foul by Paxton was like, I don't know how. It just didn't seem like a play that Paxton would make, right? And when you go in the box to defend, you can't step on people's feet. I mean, bottom line, you can't do that. And what was he thinking? I don't know. But then the other part of the game when he got a yellow card for something, I didn't think he barely even got the guy. It wasn't a yellow card. But the thing is, I saw is that we're still. I thought Jesus played really well. He had a 1-2 pass to O'Brien in the box, gave him a perfect pass, and he was 1-on-1 with a keeper. O'Brien's got to finish that. I got a feeling that when Velasco gets on the field, it's 1-0. And I think that right now, I mean, I see a lot of room for improvement with O'Brien, but also I've seen him improve. Last year he didn't make these give and goes that they're working on. Obviously, you can see more than one time they did a give and go and he got open, and you can see he's getting there, but he's not getting that last shot in, and scoring that final pass to him. He's not scoring. And I think that when we get Velasco in the game, for sure, we're going to see a difference. And I think the other thing is not only that, I think Jesus is getting a lot of attention because there's no one threatening, maybe Areola to some extent, but Velasco on the left is going to draw some attention and is going to leave Jesus open. It's a process. I'm not down on the team at all. I thought they played well, and this is just the second game for the coach as well. I mean, like the team is still building. As you know, we have a new signee coming in. There's no reason to be down on this team. The coaching is solid. The play has been solid. It's only getting better.
I like how Tommy got the team motto in there. It's process.
It is.
Good job.
Yeah, I mean, I think you definitely saw the effort out there, and even for Jesus, it didn't. Well, maybe it didn't come together well in the final third. Like I remember a point late when they did turn the ball over the midfield, and Jesus tracked back. He was back farther. He outran Farfan to try to help cover, and I think that's a sign of his willingness to fight and try to do anything he can to impact the game. I think credit to something I kind of noticed too is like it feels like Lucci was very passive. And I think that not that, I mean, and passive is not maybe the best word, but just that Lucci had his system and he wanted to influence the game in this way, and so he wanted to put the guys in a position to succeed, and they went out with this fairly consistent formation at times. not too dissimilar to what we're seeing. But I think we saw like Nico having a much more detailed game plan, and so every time Carlos Gil got the ball, he was being fouled, he was being bodied. And I think that's why we saw Paxton give up that thing, because Paxton was like, "This is your assignment in the midfield, is to shadow this guy," and we saw multiple guys do that, and it made his Carlos Gil's life miserable for the game. But sometimes that's what great players do, is they make you make a little dumb mistake, and yeah, and you pay a price for it. So and even credit to our goalkeeper, guessed the right direction. For a moment I was like, oh, he's gonna block, but nope. So I feel like Nico just had that little more detail, even in how they approached the game, that made life a little more difficult. Revolution, even as they sort of did their thing, how they're trying to attack and influence the game. So I thought that was a change. I don't know. Do you guys agree with me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
agree.
think Lucci was that far off. I think Lucci's going to grow by being under Greg and with the U.S. I think he's just missing that final piece, which is experience. That I think that we're seeing with Nico is that he's got a little bit more experience than Lucci.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I agree with what you said. I think my only concern was at the end, like in the 70th minute, past 70th minute, once the substitutes came in, you you just kind of knew it wasn't going to happen. I'm
mm,
sorry, but the
Well,
substitutions that came in, the missing Hara, you know, missing Velasco, that depth, that lack of depth becomes really obvious. I mean, your best substitutes were Quinion, who's a defensive player, and Nano, who's supposed to be a defensive player, who can attack, but then he missed that one shot, which my point is you could just you knew it wasn't going to happen. You knew they didn't have the answer on the bench for added firepower. You know that
well,
I
that
thought
was my only
Sticky
promotion.
came on and had some really nice passes from the midfield, hitting on target
Yeah,
Areola in the box, and he almost scored
yes,
on that. And
I,
I don't want to
I
downplay that. He came in and played really well in
he
in
did
that
play well,
aspect.
but it's that, hey, do we have somebody that's a playmaker that's going to make something out of nothing, and we didn't really have it.
well, what about Javier's question here? When will Nanu start over Emma Tumasi? Um, he says due to Emma's turnover in defense, it resulted in Paxton's foul for a PK call. I mean, but you know, uh, could have been other situations like this. Kind of hard just to pin it on that. And Paxton was just a step slower there. There's no PK call, and maybe there's no goal. You never know. But yeah, I mean, Nanu is getting his legs under him. He's getting more minutes, but he has flashed something in this game. I mean, I think at right back he is definitely more comfortable, and definitely was a good push kind of to get something going on that right side. Emma didn't have, I think, maybe no crosses in the game. I think the player
It's true.
grades article mentioned that he wasn't really super effective going forward in this game. So maybe that opens the door for Nanu to get a start even this coming weekend. I'm not sure. What do you guys think? When does that switch happen, if it happens?
Well, I
I'm
think it's going
hoping
to
it'll
happen
be
as
this
a
weekend.
break. Yeah,
I,
I mean, I don't. I'm still up on
I'll go.
Tomasi. He's growing. He's learning.
What I wanted to say is that I think I think it'll be this weekend. I think Nanu and Velasco make their starting debuts, and Nanu. My problem with Tuamasi is I think he played. Uh, I think he played well considering they were targeting his side. The teams are going after him.
Yeah,
They're not going after Farfan. They're going after Tuamasi.
right.
But my concern with Tuamasi is whenever they try to push forward on his side, he just doesn't have the leg speed to get around his defender or beat them. He would basically have to stop and cycle the ball back. That's something that this team needs. I mean, Farfan, who's not supposedly not a really good offensive player, was managing to do that. He was, maybe he wasn't using his leg speed. I think he was using more his dribbling more than anything, or his movement to get forward. But Tuamasi was basically wasn't he just wasn't getting past his defender. He was basically running down the sideline and getting cut off. And you saw that go away when Nanu came on, and that's just something that the offense needs. If you're the they're gonna send either the left back or the right back forward, not both at the same time. So if you're the guy going forward, then you need to be able to get forward. You can't stall. And that's really my only complaint on Tomasi. I thought he was solid defensively. I thought, considering he's being targeted, and the fact that the defense was solid. So defensively, I think he's solid. I just, like you said, he wasn't very effective with his crossing. I don't think he's very effective going forward, and I just think he lacks. I don't know if he lacks quickness, footwork, maybe it's reaction. Maybe he's waiting a little too long to go. I don't know what it is because I've seen him play fast. He just didn't look fast. Maybe
Well, I think he's still learning to play the position. I wouldn't give up on him. I mean, I was very hard on Reggie when Reggie was thrown into the mix, and look how Reggie came in. And I think the same thing for O'Brien last year. I was ready to say get rid of the guy, and look, he's really come around. He's not the polished product in the final third, but he's improved. And I think that Tomasi has a solid base with his ball control and his, once he gets the ball, no one's taking it away from him. It's his defense has got to improve. And if they sit him on the bench, he's not going to get better. So I think he will continue to play. The question is he start or not? But if Nanu does start, you lose that guy coming off the bench to make an impact against a tired defense, right? We'll see how Nico chooses to do that, but he needs more time to get better.
I mean, Tomasi did not play well offensively because he was going against Dejuan Jones. And no one in the league gets past him. Jones is one of the fastest players in the league. Tomasi's not getting past him. And Nanu only gets past him because he gets in the second half when Jones has been speeding on the touchline the entire game. And that's why I don't think we can really make an assessment whether or not Nanu is better than Tomasi as a right back until we see him for a full 90. Because I'm sorry, I didn't see Nanu do any defensive plays at all in that game. And maybe there was one or two that I missed, but nothing like with any actual that he had to do a painstaking tackle or had to chase down an attacker, because that at the end of games he doesn't need to do that. And he's done it now twice in a game where he shows up and gives a spark, but how does he last in the 90? Yeah, it's just. I mean,
I want to agree with what Ismael says about the fact that he comes in late and the defender's tired. I think there's a lot of validity to it because I don't know, in my comments I was saying that I'm sorry, but there was a difference when Nanu was on the field. You could see he was higher level player going forward, but I think it's fair to say we didn't really see him defensively enough to make a judgment on this defense. And it's fair to say that his defender was probably tired of chasing Tomasi around. So I think those are all valid points. And
they didn't score on Tomasi. They didn't score on him.
No,
right?
No, I said his defense was solid. I did.
Yeah. I have no problem with him continuing to start it. He needs to get better, and the only way he's going to get better is playing. He's, we need some goals too. That would help out if we scored.
Well, we're going to go there. Let's go ahead and hear. I got to ask Coach Nico Estevez a couple questions after the game and the post media time. I didn't get to stay for the other players to hear what they had to say, but I asked him first, about what was positive about the defensive performance, and then I asked him about the lack of success in the final third. And so it's about a 3-minute clip. Let's hear Nico respond. Hi there, Nathan Hill from Big D Soccer. Coach, you were you went up against the defending Supporter Cup winner, and we're just a goal away, a shot on goal from coming away at least with a point. And of course, the penalty kick was an unfortunate thing too. It seemed like the defense played really well and were able to put out fires and kind of keep New England from doing any more damage. So could you just rate, how would you rate the defensive performance today? And is that something that you all have been focusing on in practice?
Yes.
thank you for the question. And I think the defense, and not only the defenders, no, the entire team that was defending the central mids. We're specifically this week where we're working really hard how to defend the penalty box. New England is a team that accumulate a lot of players inside the box. They have a big targets there. You have to be very prepared, very compact to avoid these kind of situations. And then we were working this week a lot on that. I think the players did a fantastic job. We were solid, and this is what we're trying to build, a team that can go away, be solid, and then get the points. And this is what we're going to need for the entire season. It's something that in last year, the team had some issues performing with the back line at that level. And we're very pleased with the work that our center backs and full backs and central mids did today, because they did an amazing job protecting the goal. And of course, at the end, we were a little bit more open because we were trying to score and to try to tie the game. And it's normal that the opponent can get some actions where we weren't as protected as in the first and the second half.
Thank you. And just on the other side of it, the offense, just struggled to kind of finish off the attacks. A lot of energy, a lot of good effort there. So do you think this is just a part of it is just that the team is still kind of developing chemistry together, and you have some new faces that you're still just trying to figure each other out and learn to trust each other, or are there some other tactical tweaks that you think are going to need to happen to really unleash this offense?
Well, I think is a little bit about everything, right? I will be worried if we don't create chances, but we are creating the chances and also the situations, because we don't count just usually you don't count the chances in the situation, but we're putting ourselves in a good spots in the opponent penalty box on the opponent third. And for us, it's probably a little bit to be more patient, not rush the play, that energy that we have, like calm down a little bit, settle down the play, and wait a little bit the arriving of the players that are coming from behind to create that movements in the penalty box. I think if we get this, we will be much better, and we'll be able to, that situations that put us in a good position to create goal scoring opportunities, to be goal scoring opportunities to score goals. And you mentioned also players right now that are coming, that are new, that Tiki that came in the second half, even Nanu that came in the second half, and he's getting into the team. Marco Farfan is a new player also, and his understanding, so far has been very, very good. But of course, we're going to get better. We're going to get that connection right.
Yeah, so a little bit of everything. And I mean, I like the way he frames it. We're not just looking for, the shots on goals, but also, are we getting in good spots? Are we creating those possibilities? And so I do think, I think he's spot on there, that, the team is doing some things really well. But they're having trouble finishing. They're having trouble finding that final pass, that final opportunity. And when they do, it's the shots are wayward. Or just, So let's get into this conversation that we had after the game. Is key to that is our striker situation. And Jesus Ferreira had a great season last year. He signed the designated player deal. But so far this season, not exactly. It's only 2 games in. But so far in these first 2 games, we kind of wanted a little bit more from him. So, yeah, so let's get into this. And we had a little good banter going on behind the scenes this week. So, Ismael, what do you think? Are you disappointed with Jesus?
So, my first point would be, last year he had 8 goals, 9 assists, and we consider that to be a very good season for an attacking mid. And I think, it was a very good season. His expectations change, not only when he became the striker for the team, but also when he got that $2 million, he got that nice little DP deal. His expectations have changed now. It's not just, you're a homegrown. We like you. We like the player you are. We've seen how you play. You have different expectations. He makes the same as Rui Diaz. I I don't think it's crazy to expect double digits this year at the bare minimum for goals. Um, and I understand it's only 2 games, but I really like to overreact because then you're not disappointed if it turns out they do very well. If he does very well. So he had one touch in the box last game, and that one touch was the shot that went that skied over the goal. That was his one touch. Now he did get into the box. It wasn't like he was just camping in zone 14 or playing in the midfield the entire game. He did get into the box, but it's the wingers aren't going to keep. They're not going to miss him with passes or crosses. If he's not getting the ball in the box, that means that he is not getting into positions where the wingers can pass him the ball. He's not getting into the positions like right behind the defenders for like a through ball or an over the top ball. He's not doing these things, which are important things for a striker. Now, this is New England. They're very good defensively. Toronto, he had 3 touches in the box, which weren't shots. I still don't think that's a great ratio for a striker. So, I mean, again, this week, it's an overreaction. Maybe, hopefully, in retrospect, it is. But there needs to be improvement. Like that's the expectation. He's making $2 million a year. It can't be that he gets in the box and gets to touch the ball in the box 2 or 3 times in a game, and maybe one of those times it's a goal, like every 3 games. There has to be more like emphasis of like getting into these positions and getting better chances, or else we're gonna have issues going up top this year.
Jose.
Well, my response was basically I was defending Jesus because there's people panicking already 2 games in and freaking out about him not getting touching the ball in the box. I mean, yes, you can go by the stats, and he only touches this many that times or that time, or this many times. And I agree he should touch it more. My thing was people were saying that he wasn't getting in the box. He is getting in the box, but I think it's a fair thing to say that his timing is off. That you can see that maybe he wasn't getting there at the right time, because when there were some balls that did go his way that you could see he was, a second late or half second late, and I think that's fair. I think that also has a lot to do with the fact that the people crossing the ball to him are also not really people that he's used to playing. I mean, you got O'Brien on the left. He's no left winger. I'm sorry. You got Ariola on the right, who's still getting used to. Yes, I know they played in the USFT together, but that doesn't mean that they're comfortable. It doesn't mean that they've built that rapport. Hopefully, it means that they'll build it faster. You got Farfan, you got Tomasi, who, not really offensive-minded fullbacks. I don't think they did that good of a job of getting the ball crossed. And I'm not panicking. I think it's safe to worry. You should worry. I'm more concerned with who's behind him, because there's added pressure on him to perform because there's no plan B right now. There's no, as much as we harped on Hara, he's not even available. And who's the number 3 guy? I think the number 3 guy is Redzik. I think it's Redzik or Metkahar, who are not strikers. I mean, really, I think so. I'm not too concerned with it. I worry. I've said before. I think I wasn't too happy with this preseason. I thought it was really short. The team's not 100%. The Velasco isn't even here, and I think this whole month is like an extended preseason. And if I don't see improvement from Jesus, heading into April, then maybe I'll start worrying a little. I think this is just a prolonging of that preseason, because the season we're used to starting, a lot later than this. I don't know. It's to me, I'm not panicked. I like what I saw from Jesus. I thought he didn't drop as far back as he did against Toronto, though he was still doing it too much for my liking. And I think I've said it before, I blame that on Lucci basically making him more of a midfielder and asking him to play that way. and now you got to shake him of the habit, saying, Jesus, you need to. And I'm sure Nico and them are working with him on that, and it'll take a little time for him to basically not do it. By the way, he had more touches than any of the other attackers because he was doing that. I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying that maybe he was frustrated at not getting the ball higher.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think Nico in the clip we just watched, I think he kind of addressed some of these things that, hey, uh, are we making the right pass? Are we giving ourselves that? Can we take that extra half a second to give a chance for that runner to get a little better position? Or I think so. I think it obviously is. There's just a lot of these little things that are being worked on. But some of it, yeah, is Jesus getting in the right positions? Is he making the right run at the right time? It's just a lot of these things, because it just seems like at times that it's almost there. It's really good looking, and then that it just doesn't quite work out. And of course, we saw that a lot last season. And I think some folks would wonder, hey, are we seeing a repeat of that? And I hope not. It'll be a long season if so. But there's time. I think there is time for this team to continue to work out, and I do think Velasco is going to be a difference maker. He better be. For the cash they laid out for him, he better be, right.
I think
Yeah.
I want to say that I think he will, not necessarily in the way that we envision him. I know some people are like, oh, for that money, he's got to score this many goals, this many assists. I view him more as a disruptor. I think he's a guy who's going to come in and simply put panic on the defenses because of some of the stuff that he's going to do, not necessarily scoring. But if the defense is suddenly, you know, trying to figure out how to prevent this guy from making dangerous runs, it frees up things for everybody else. And I think that's the kind of player you can expect. A guy who's going to basically do some stuff that you're going to go, wow, did he just do that? Maybe he's not going to score goals. I don't really expect him to be a goal scoring machine or an assist machine, but I do expect him to break some ankles out there and give defenses fit to the point where they have to adjust in his direction, and all of a sudden, Jesus, Cervania, all the guys on the opposite suddenly seem to have a little more room. And I think that's the kind of player you can expect, and we could certainly use that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, we're talking about O'Brien. He's not a left. He's not a left winger. He had that one beautiful pass where if he just had a left foot and he could have gotten a clean shot, and he never could because he's got no left foot. He's not a left-footed striker. I don't know what he was doing, but you were like, Jesus Christ, man, take that shot. But you can't blame him because he's playing out position. Yes, you said, okay, you can go really fast on the right side and get to the corner, go through that on the other side. And he can do it. But think of how wonderful it's going to be to have Velasco starting and then having a guy like O'Brien coming off the bench, against defenders who have tired legs. I'm looking forward to that. Then all of a sudden, I think you're not looking at the last 8, 10, 15 minutes going, man, it's not going to happen. Because now you've got some nightmares coming off the bench, which is what we're missing right now.
So I don't have a problem with Jesus. I think his passing was 86% good last game. Let's go rewind to the first game. He had a couple of instances where he would have been one-on-one with the keeper, but Areola didn't get the ball to him, and that's not Jesus's fault. When you're the forward, you need service. That ball's got to come to you. If I'm not mistaken, he took an extra touch, and the other one with the pass was off, and Jesus would have been one-on-one with the keeper. Yesterday, this past game, not yesterday, but this past weekend, he had that perfect pass to O'Brien. It left him in the box, in the 6, on the keeper, and he kicked it right to the keeper, right? Didn't score. That would have changed the game because we would have been up 1-0, and then that would have caused New England to get out of their defensive shape, attack more. What happened? We gave up the PK. We got down. So New England sits back, right? That changes the whole game. I don't. I think that we have to just be patient and understand that there's 11 players on the field that takes a score. He's not Messi. He's still learning to. I don't want to say he's learning how to play forward. He's been playing forward. He knows how to play the game. But it takes 11 players to give you space on the field. And if O'Brien's not getting the attention because, oh, we know that if he's on the wing, I don't have to guard them. We only have to worry about him beating us behind us. Then there's a different way you play Jesus, right? But if you got Velasco on the wing and you know that if this guy gets the ball, he can also dribble past us. Imagine two people, three people going with him and leaving Jesus open in the box. Jesus will get his goals then. We've seen it already in the USA when he played with in the forward. He had what, 3 goals? He was on fire. No doubt this guy is a stud, Pereira. I have no doubt. And but it takes a team effort to get open. You know, you just can't do it by yourself.
I mean, so I think all of these are like decent points. I think the some of the issues I have is that we keep saying that this month is like an extra month of preseason. Um, if you think of this month as the extra month of preseason, and then next month is like the start of the year, which is like stuff is still kind of rocky, then you've gone through a fourth of the year. We can't keep thinking in these terms. We got a shorter preseason, and we have signings coming in late. That's just the reality. Now,
Well, we're
I
ahead of
mean, we
last
have
year,
the,
right?
yeah, but last year the season started later than usual. Now
Right.
it's earlier than
But
usual.
when did Sean come in? Who else
He's
came in the
talking
middle of
about
the
Yeah,
year?
he's talking about we didn't get people till May. That's what he's
Yeah.
talking about. That we
yeah,
didn't get Quinones didn't show up till May, stuff
Yeah, it
like
was
that.
worse last year. We're ahead of
yeah,
schedule compared to last year. But go
yeah.
ahead.
And
I
then
know.
with Jesus again, I would be more hopeful if like he did because we kept talking how he's basically played in Lucci's system for a long time. That's actually a legitimate worry because the only times basically for the past like 7, 8 years of his career that he's not played under Lucci until this year were with the U.S. men's national team. Um, and that means that he's had to adjust his whole way of playing. Added the $2 million like wage pressure, the DP tag pressure.
Mm.
These are all legitimate pressures that are going to affect his game, but I don't think we've really seen much to prove that he can play in um, Nico's system. We think he can do it because we know he's quality and we know he has talent, but we haven't seen him do it. So the fact that in these first two games, like he played better versus Toronto than he did against New England. It's also worth noting Toronto just lost 5-1 at home against the New York Red Bulls. So Toronto is not very good defensively. And he still wasn't able to do that much in that game,
Mm.
except for
Mm.
the chance
Mm.
that Areola was offside for. There wasn't much in the box. So again, we're hopeful, and I think we're right to be hopeful because Jesus has played different roles for Lucci in the past, but they've all been for Lucci. That's all it's been, and it's been like 3, 4 games for the U.S. where he scored goals against like Guadalupe or something. I forget who it was. I mean, those aren't games where we could say, "See, he can play in a different system." We can't really extrapolate anything from that. It's a
Well,
USMNT game against an opponent that's not great. So I don't
in the
know.
interview that we
I
you
like
just played with Nico, just real quick, one thing I think we have to take note is when did you ever hear Lucci say last year that we had a lot of chances in the box? Go look at the film. We're getting chances in the box. We haven't scored, except for the one last week, the first game. But we are getting a lot of chances in the box. We got to finish those balls. So that changes the game when you go ahead. But go ahead.
I like how Ismael keeps throwing out the $2 million figure. Like I, you know, it's fair to say that Jesus played like a DP last year. His stats were on par with guys getting paid 2 million.
Yeah,
So
it should be
I
fine.
don't see that as an issue. I mean, they're basically saying, very likely they say, hey, we want to keep you, so we're gonna pay you like you performed. I think he showed that he deserves that money. I don't think the money is an issue. Uh, and you know, and honestly, he's still a young player. The problem with young players, and as opposed to say a guy like Ariola, who's a solid vet, 26, 27 years old. You know, he's in his prime. Jesus is still not there, and one of the issues with younger players is they tend to go with peaks and valleys, and you kind of hope that that as he progresses, as he plays longer, those peaks and valleys start leveling out, and you get a consistent play game in game out. We're not seeing that yet, and yes, that's a sign of concern. I mean, sure, but like I said, it's I think I don't think money's the issue. I'm sorry. I don't think it is. I think they're just paying him what his performance says he should be getting paid, and also maybe they paid him a little extra to make sure he didn't leave. You don't want somebody who's dreaming of leaving. Could you imagine if Pepe wasn't sold and people find out that there was a $20 million offer on the table? That would ruin our season right there. You'd have a disgruntled striker who's dreaming of going to Europe, and his team just turned on the big offer. You don't have to worry about that with Jesus. So I don't think that's an issue. But I think all the other concerns are legit. It's new system, new coach. I think Nico's still trying to figure out also what. I know people are going to say he should already know this. He should have all the video and all that stuff. But in reality, I don't think he does. Not to the level that Lucci had, for example, because Lucci played with all these kids, through the academy. So he's been with them for years. Months isn't going to make up for that. So I think Nico is still figuring out what he's got, and he's still trying to coach them all up and get them all on the same page. And I don't think the whole team's on the same page. And I think that's fair. I think Toronto went on and lost by one. I mean, Austin is blowing out teams for crying out loud. It's so I think it says a lot that this team has played, 500 ball, and a PK is the only reason they lost. Yeah, I'd like to see more offense, and I think the offense will come. I think the signs are there that the offense is coming.
Yeah. Well, the one thing
But
I would say I'm disappointed with. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just say until it comes, though, I think we have every right to worry. Go ahead.
I'll just say the one thing I'm disappointed with thus far, and it's very early, and it's just that I expected more from Paul Arriola being a U.S. men's national team player. I don't think that he didn't have I don't think he had a great offensive game on this past weekend, and I just haven't seen that level.
I
And just falling around and just the kind of the antics going on, it didn't seem very U.S. men national team level like to me.
I like his antics. This team needs that. This team doesn't have that line out there that says "Don't mess with my Cubs." And this guy does that. This guy, I saw him barking at Cervania or Cerrillo for not making a pass forward when he was when there was a play to be had, for being too defensive. You see him out there barking at people, barking at the kids. He's teaching them. He's saying, "Hey, if you would, where's that ball? You worry about a team last year that was cycling the ball backwards. Some of that mentality is still there. You see Arriola out there barking at them to push the ball forward, to be proactive.
Go back to the first game. He had the volley in the box, went flying over the goal, and he's just smiling, and he's like waving. I'm like, dude, you got to finish that. And then there's Jose's one-on-one with the keeper, and he doesn't give him the ball. I'm like, you got to do this if you want to play a World Cup, sir. And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
To be fair, Paul Arriola has not scored double digits in any season he's been in MLS. That's not why he gets called up to the national team. He has not gotten double digits in assists either. That's not why he's getting called up. He's getting called up because he will run for 90 minutes and he won't stop. And I mean, that's what we paid $2 million for. I think a lot of $2 million in GAM. I know it's fake money, but I know people were like, it's GAM. It doesn't really matter. It's fake money. I mean, but I think people also expected like 10, 12 goals. That's not going to happen. I mean, the most he's ever scored in MLS, like in one season, was 7 goals in 2018. I mean, and in the other years it's been like 6 or 6. It's this is not. He's not gonna be like. That's why we need like. This is why like again I don't want to keep harping back to Jesus, but like that's why I worry if he can't play the striker position because Ariel is not gonna score the goals. Velasco, this is his new year in MLS. He's not gonna score the goals. Obrion's definitely not going to score the goals. None of the midfield can score double digits. I mean, so I mean that's the real worry. Like,
All right,
if
so
we
I
had
will
like
go
a
on
winger
record.
who could score
So,
double digits,
That's
Nathan,
fair.
go ahead.
That's fair to say. That's fair to say, but it is fair to say that they're all capable of scoring 6 to 8 goals.
Yeah, I would
Okay,
say my
maybe
three
maybe we
leaders
don't
are going
have
to
We're
be
getting some good
Jesus,
stuff here.
Jesus, Obrian, and Velasco will be our top 3 scorers at the end of the year. We'll go ahead and write it down, put my name on it.
I want to add one more thing though. I do like the fact that they're keeping Cerrillo as the lone number 6, and they're keeping Paxton and Cervena up high. But let's face it, Cervena isn't really on the same level of creativity as Paxton, and I think that hurts a little. Not having another offensive-minded. I mean, he's getting better at attacking, but let's face it, Cervena is more of a true box-to-box. I mean, that guy runs all over the place, so I'm not knocking him for that. But I'm just saying, when it comes to being a creative playmaker, you've got Paxton on the left, and he's paired up with Obrian, and then you've got Cervena on the right, and he's paired up with Areola, and I think there's a little imbalance there, where maybe having another player along the lines of Paxton, uh, would help a little, where if you wanted to play more defensively and keep your shape, you'd use Cervenia, who can definitely help Cyril out as a, with his, I mean, he was helping Tuamasi a lot. I could see that, but I think that's another issue is you've got 2 number 8s, but really Pax is the only creator of the 2. Cervenia has a ton of hustle, and he does do some things, but I mean, is he going to be the guy that breaks open the defense? No, he's not.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't really expect a team with a 3-man midfield to use 2 of those positions as like breaking the line, passing through the defenders kinds of players. Like generally, when you play a 3-man midfield, you're gonna have the defensive-minded one, the attacking-minded one, and then the box-to-box one. That's like if you play with 2 attack-minded players, and then you have Paxton and this X Factor pushing up, and you leave Cerrillo against like 2 midfielders running at him and a striker starting to push up forward. Yeah, like in a counterattack with the center backs, it's not going to be great. So I mean, Cervenia does his job. I mean,
yeah, I think he's having a great start.
I'm talking about more when you need the goals. I mean, let's face it, 0-0, and you're pushing to try to get that goal. Then you should have that guy in your back pocket. You should be able to make an offensive substitute. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
They don't have that.
Is that why you keep talking about Thomas Roberts?
Yes, I think Thomas Roberts is built for this system. I don't think he fit Lucci's system at all, and you can see the frustration. And he'll be back in May. And if people are saying, "Where's that? We need help in the midfield." We all know it. Why isn't it coming? Why is it coming?
Okay.
It's coming in May.
He's had minutes. He's had experience. Yeah.
And let's face it, he's going to be here in May. The team's got 2 months to see him and see if he's the answer or not. So
what did y'all think about King Young? What do you think about King Young coming in? How did he look to you guys?
I thought the rumor was he was having a strong preseason, but it's fine. I mean,
I didn't see anything bad
a better one.
Nothing stood out bad, but I don't. He didn't look slow. It looked like he was in better shape.
He's a veteran guy.
I mean, he was solid. So if you say it's even, and Quignon and Cerrillo are both at the same level, then you got to play Cerrillo because Cerrillo is going to improve and Quignon is not. So I think that's my take on that.
What's clear, guys, is the X factor here on this team is Franco Jara, the highest paid DPs ever.
And we're missing him. We're missing him.
I
I'm
mean, but he
sorry,
would have
but
played a role
I
in a game
can't.
like this. You bring him in late and let him,
Well, also
Hey,
Sean
hey,
not having
yeah,
Sean
yeah.
Velasco.
Hey, to be fair, that's Hara is another 6 to 8 goal player. So I mean, he matches the rest of the attack.
All Hara does is score goals.
But I, and I will say this though. Here's where not having Hara hurts. Is there's people out there that think Jesus plays better as a secondary striker, and at the end Dallas goes to the last both games they've gone to a 4-4-2. It would be Hara and Jesus, and it would actually, in theory, I'm not saying it's true, but we won't know until we see it. There's people that think that Jesus would play better having that other striker.
Two
There is no
strikers.
other
Yeah,
striker right now.
we'll
There's
have to
no
see.
other striker. Is my point. So it's hurting Jesus also not having that other striker. I'm just saying. I'm not making excuse for him. I'm just saying we're not 100%, and it's really obvious in the later of the game. You know, the last when you go to the bench, that's when you can see that okay, the bench is not, doesn't have the answers. There's no answers on the bench. I mean, don't get me wrong. We have players that can give you solid minutes
Yeah,
and we'll probably be
I
able to start. But as far as guys that are going to come in and change the game, I don't. I think
I still say it's unfortunate we gave up the PK because I think that we end up either getting a point or a victory. I think the team played well, uh, but that PK was just boneheaded.
Well, let's
Yeah.
let's shift to this coming weekend. FC Dallas welcomes back home, and you always prefer some home cooking, and maybe that's just what the team kind of needs as they continue to kind of build. But they welcome a team that's playing well. Nashville SC is now in the Western Conference, of course, and it started the season off with 4 points, a win at home against Seattle, and then a draw on the road against Minnesota and Nashville. We know they're going to be stingy. We know that they've had FC Dallas's number in the past.
we know they know
But
how to win in Toyota.
yeah, they know how to win. They know how to grind out a game. But you still expect 3 points here for FC Dallas, and it's not that Nashville is unbeatable. It's just tough to play on the road. So, but we know it's gonna be kind of a game where, like, to use the football metaphor, inches matter, right? It's like just that little foul on the heel makes a big difference in a tight game. So, what do y'all think? How are you feeling about the game, and kind of what's your prediction for this Saturday? Tommy,
I
we'll
mean,
start with you.
I think the team's going to come out and play. I think they're going to get a lot of chances. If they can get a lead, then it'll be the first time. Oh, we had the lead already once and we gave up the lead, but um, I expect them to come out and play. We'll see if Velasco gets to take the field. I wasn't really sure why he didn't get into the game at all because I know he'd been training, but apparently maybe he needed more time with the team. We will see if Sean's healthy and Hara is healthy and how every little game is a little bit more insight of how this coach is going to take this team this year. We saw different sub patterns. It was the same lineup but different subs, and we see that Nico's playing to win. And I like that we're getting chances in the box. I think we need better play on the left wing, um, but it's been a good start. I mean, I'm I'm happy with what I'm seeing compared to last year because last year was like the lowest I've seen as far as the play on the field. It was really bad at the end where players I think were quitting on the play. I think it's going up.
I want to say that having 1 or 2 points from 2 home games is completely unacceptable. I'm the most optimistic of people, but we need 3 points. I mean, is it a must win this early? I think so. I think you want to set the pace. I mean, I think we saw this last year with the team struggling at home and settling for draws, and that set the tone for the rest of the season. They need a win. They need to. It's a young team, and they need a win for that confidence to say, "See, it's working." So I think I'm okay. I don't care how they get it. Is it 1-0, 2-1, 4-3? I honestly don't care how they do it, but they need a win at home. So otherwise, I mean, if you think some people are worried now, I think they'll be in full panic, even if it's a draw. You gotta. Nobody wants to see one or 2 point from the first two home games. You got to get a W in there because your next game after this is Portland, and all of a sudden you're looking at a what 1 to 2 point out of 4 matches. That's nobody wants that start. I know I keep saying it's extended preseason, this and that, but at the end of the day, you got to win at home.
Gotta win home.
I mean, to be fair, we said that Nashville is not an unbeatable team. They're as unbeatable as you can get. They lost the least amount of games last year. Uh, I actually think the Portland game is an easier win than this one. I mean, Nashville just beat Sounders in Seattle, which was like in the first game of the season, which was kind of nuts. It wasn't like a squeaky 1-0. Seattle had nothing. It's Nashville. I think their defense will be very interesting again. How many touches Jesus gets in the box? Since we keep harping back to that fact. I think Velasco playing in that game. If I'm expecting that's his first start, I really hope so because at this point, then he'll have 2 weeks, which, and I think at that point, since he was doing his own like training, like personal training, it's not like he's unfit. It was just like getting him accustomed, and you also don't want him to start his first game on the road
on turf
in the cold, in cold Boston on turf. Like that's not a great place to play him. So I mean, I expect him to play in Nashville if not start. And just to break down that defense is going to be tough. I'm sadly expecting a draw, but I'm going to say a 3-1 win just to be the optimist I'm always at.
Yeah, I think I'm happy with a 2-1 win, or maybe a 1-0 win, and then it's Dallas who gets a penalty kick or something. But you're right, I misread it. I thought Nashville played Seattle at home, but you're right, it was in Seattle, which is a tough place to win in this league.
That's incredible.
I want to add an asterisk to that because you got to remember that Seattle is in the CONCACAF Champions League, and so is New England. Okay. And mind you, I was stunned that New England rolled out a full strength team, considering they got a match on Wednesday against the Mexican club. So I was telling people this: when New England fails to advance because they dropped points that they shouldn't have dropped in midweek against the Mexican team, it's because they put greater emphasis on getting the win against Dallas at home than getting the points in CONCACAF Champions League. That's something that teams have to decide. Seattle emphasizes Champions League, so I'm not stunned that they lost at home because they didn't. Wasn't their priority. New England, on the other hand, said we're not losing at home. We need this win. We'll figure out how to advance the Champions League afterwards. So I was stunned that they played a full strength, and they played. They didn't pull them. I was expecting them to get pulled early. They didn't. So I mean, it's not. I'm not criticizing them. I'm saying that was their decision. They basically said, if we have to win one game this week, it's going to be against Dallas, and they played for the win there. And they could have rolled out a B team and focused on Wednesday, and they didn't. So I'm sure their fans are happy with the win. That's something that Seattle decided not to do, and so I don't think it's the same thing.
Well, I hope you're right. Our buddy Ben here says, hoping to see if we continue to play the way we have, but not expecting any points. So it's early to have despair set in, Ben, but we are FC Dallas fans, and hey, things don't always go our way.
I mean, talking about a bench, like how the benches compare, we have Redzik as our backup striker, and Nashville have a $7.2 million DP who is not starting, who is their backup striker. So
they got Hara 2.0.
Well,
yeah, basically.
New improved.
Keep in mind, except for Areola, our attacking is the same as last year, and Velasco is going to be that money coming in to make the goal differential that Dan Hunt talked about. He hasn't even stepped on the field yet, and So I think this guy's, fingers crossed, he's a difference maker.
So I want to also bring up one thing is Obrion's never really been a very good defensive winger. So like Areola, you can see hustles back to help with Tuamasi and stuff like that. And you've had Obrion with Farfan behind him, who Farfan has been excellent defensively, by the way. And
That's
and
a great
and
pick.
so we haven't had to worry about Obrion's lack of defensive help. I'm curious to see what kind of presence on both sides Velasco has when we finally get to see him. Because if he offers any let's say he offers any defensive effort along the lines of what Areola offers, it frees up a guy like Farfan or someone like that to push forward more, or frees up. Let's face it. Let's not forget he's going to be lined up next to Paxton, and that's got to be exciting too. So
Yeah,
I
think about Velasco coming
I'm
on the
getting
field
hyped.
is not to play defense. Yeah.
No. But I'm just saying in Nico's system, you want your wingers to be able to play defense. They got to be solid defensively. I don't think anyone's ever accused Obrion of being a solid defensive player.
Well, let's leave it there. It's a very good conversation. We're cautiously hopeful for this weekend. We know the season's going to be a slog, but there are reasons to be optimistic. It seems like about this team, but there's still lots of pieces, work in progress. All right. So thanks everybody for.
My official prediction is 1-0 in case I didn't make that clear.
Okay.
1-0 Dallas.
Well, thanks everybody.
Hello, Dad.
All the comments. Everybody, Hoach there, Ben, Javier, Todd, Christian. Thank you all for keeping us on our toes here. And of course, remember we'll be uploading this by tomorrow to our podcast site. You can find it at anchor.fm/Big D After Dark. Also, link on BigDSoccer.com in the latest After Dark preview article. Ismael, Tommy, Jose, thank you. Thank you for spending part of your evening here. And we'll see you all next week. Go FC Dallas.
Hope the weather's nice. It was cold last time.